Hi everyone. We have transitioned today into the last section of the course and the last assignment of the course, which is going to be a build-up of your writing portfolio and the introduction that needs to accompany that. So I want to start today's video and actually just have this video be the start of a week where I kind of introduce the ePortfolio as a whole and explain the final assignment of the course, the portfolio introduction, and just give you kind of an overview, walk you through the prompt so that you know what we're moving into next. And then the remainder of the videos this week will specifically break down how to build an ePortfolio, how to develop your portfolio introduction, and there'll be some model text reading as well to show you how to do that in interesting and engaging ways. So I'm going to pull up the prompt and we're just going to read it together and kind of comment on some key features along the way that we should pay attention to. But again, this is introducing the ePortfolio and the portfolio introduction, but as you know, we're still working on the final essay at the same time that we start to build the ePortfolio and write the portfolio introduction. So the last couple weeks of the course, we're doing multiple things at once. You're finishing your final essay, and you're also starting and finishing these two assignments that we're going to talk about right now. So this is the final prompt. It's called the portfolio introduction is what I titled the prompt, but we're also going to talk about the ePortfolio in here as well. And it's subtitled Defining or Defending Your Style. So where the subtitle of the final essay is Defining and Defending the Style of Poetry, this case is going to be talking about your own writing. And we're going to get into that shortly. So the prompt says this: there are many different approaches to teaching portfolio in a writing class, but this class has used a comprehensive portfolio system. From the moment the class began, you have saved every scrap of your writing. Now that the class is coming to an end, you are being asked to collect, arrange, and present all of that work to me in the form of an ePortfolio filled with your work. Your final portfolio should contain the portfolio introduction, which is an essay, a persuasive essay written to me, evaluating the contents and defending your growth as a writer. It will include final revised versions of each assignment with all drafts carefully labeled. So if we even just used In Defense of Essay as an example, you will have the final revised version of that draft, which for you may have been the third draft, because we had 3 required drafts. And then you have the 2 drafts before that as well, and they'd all be carefully labeled and organized for me to view. If you did a 4th draft of the In Defense of Essay, as many of you said you would include that as your final revised version and the 3 previous drafts that came before that. Same thing with the style portfolio. If you did any revisions, you're including the final version plus the rough draft versions. The writing portfolio will also include your writing exercises, class responses or discussion responses, any self-reviews you did, any questions you wrote down before conferences. And it says peer reviews, but we didn't do peer reviews over summer session. Other notes, outlines, and anything else you feel is important in assessing your portfolio. So basically, anything that gives some sort of evidence to your work in the course and your growth as a writer. So that's the total ePortfolio. The next video is going to talk about how to collect all this and give you some additional ideas to consider for organization as you do that. But for now, let's keep moving, reading the prompt, and read about the portfolio introduction. That says that your portfolio introduction is your final assignment, and you can think about it as your last persuasive essay for the course. The purpose of the portfolio introduction is to prove to me that you grew as a writer over the 10-week quarter, improving in your writing style and in your awareness of your writing process, your reading and how that affected what you wrote, your drafting and how that affected how you thought about your topic in your audience, your revision and how that captured or was able to successfully achieve the purpose you set out to do, etc. Basically, you're being asked to explain your writing progress and your successes, as well as the places that you think still need improvement, throughout the assignment sequence, showing me where and how you found your style, put your style in action, reflected on your style, defined or defended the style of a poet. The essay, like the final essay of the course, should be 6 to 8 pages minimum. The second part I'll read right now. We're not going to talk about it in depth. I will actually talk about it in week 10 more thoroughly in a video that discusses 2 reading assignments I'll have you do. But for now, let's add this to the overall goal of the assignment. It says, as you develop your argument about how you grew as a writer, I'd like you to consider another question, one that will add a deeper dynamic of purpose to your essay. Why does your education in writing and rhetoric matter? Attempting to answer this will force you to examine the significance of your growth as a writer. Basically, it'll force you to say why it matters that you grew as a writer. It also asks you to consider why you're required to take writing courses at this level. Though I'm not trying to get you to convert your majors to the humanities, there are some interesting dynamics to consider here. That degrees in writing and literature are continuing to shrink, but that an education in the humanities is still a basic requirement of the university, and that ultimately the university was built on the need for education in the humanities. Ultimately, this question can open you up to even more questions to consider as you explain the significance of your growth as a writer. How does being able to close read a poem benefit you? How does being able to close read an indefensive prose essay benefit you? How does analyzing an image, an advertisement, a movie, an essay benefit you? How does being able to write a persuasive essay benefit you? All these things that you can answer. These are not questions you need to directly answer in the draft. This is just some ideas to get you thinking. Again, we'll return to this section in week 10 when we read a couple essays by a writer named Dennis Denby, who talks about the value of the humanities and rhetoric and writing. But for now, you just know that that's maybe your sub goal of the assignment. First, to prove that you've grown as a writer, and then to prove that you understand why that matters. So that's the gist of where we're going now. Now, we don't have much time to do it. We have 2 weeks. Friday of week 10 is when your ePortfolio is due, and that needs to have your final draft of the portfolio introduction, your final draft of the How Does a Poet Make Meaning essay, all your work that you've done throughout the rest of the quarter, collected and neatly organized in one place. There's a lot of work to do in the next 2 weeks. This is an overview of what you have to do in that time. And also, as I said recently in an email, this is time to be very diligent and very attentive to the assignments in this course, because we're coming down to the end and you still have a lot of work to do. So I'll be back in the next video to specifically show you how to build your ePortfolio. And then going on from there, we'll talk specifically about developing the portfolio introduction. Okay, see you soon.